Matthew wanted to talk about gas guns. They don't shoot worth a shit. They're not accurate. They're not consistent. They're not reliable. All that above. It's what we
All
keep hearing about gas guns. So, Maximus, what do you got to talk about? I know you've been itching at this for a while, and I know there's going to be some people with comments on this one. So let's go.
man, I have just been enveloped, I think is the right word, in gas gun stuff in the last year. Obviously, my bread and butter, and we're making my money. Not literally. There's no money in it. Is bolt gun stuff, but gas guns, specifically precision gas guns. I know it's kind of an oxymoron, and to a lot of people, but I have been getting my hands on what I can as far as brands and shooting this and borrowing that and trying this and doing that and different cartridges. Well, the cartridge thing for a long time, but figuring out what works by way of what doesn't work, if that makes sense. So I've just been, and I run gas gun matches here in Vegas. We started them in Reno, and it's kind of just growing at a rapid pace right now. I've got like 5 other clubs that are running kind of our format and our rule set. So I kind of created this thing. It's not really much of anything, but I gave it a name. It's Western Gas Gun Coalition, and it's just basically like free resources. There's a Facebook group for match directors and shooters, free resources, courses of fire, templates. I even gave the Photoshop artwork to make a monthly match flyer that I use, so you can just manipulate it and do whatever you want. Click on it and edit your stuff if you got Photoshop. I don't care. There's photos, there's videos, there's examples of stuff. I'm gonna keep doing stuff that I'm gonna share over to Long Range Tactics. I'm already putting together an article on shot timers, and I think I've bought every single shot timer that exists. Every single one.
That's a lot of them.
It's a lot of money in shot timers, man. Especially
Yeah.
a couple of them cost $300-400, right? So, but my point to all this is like the gas gun stuff is like this kind of great unknown. There is no format. Yeah, there's a couple other leagues that have attempted to exist. There's one other one back in the East Coast that's pretty prevalent on East Coast. But I want to try to help at the grassroots level, the shooter level, and not from an organizational standpoint, if that makes sense. I'm kind of tired of paying fees and weird rules and because we say so mentality and the weird point systems that people come up with. Like I don't care about any of that. I just want to have fun local matches. That's where my heart lies, not in the big 2-day stuff. My heart lies in the local stuff. Like that's where I want to be. Give me a weekend with a 1-day match at a cool range with some good people, and that's where I want to be personally. That's where I want to spend my money and my time. So
where we started, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. That's where my heart still is. So anything I can do to get back to that. I don't make any money doing this. Hell, Cole, I'm pretty sure when you were running 2-day matches, you weren't making any money either in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, so
not if you're putting out good food, good prizes, shirts, everything else.
Yeah.
It all comes back. I mean, you're in a good match, you don't make a whole lot of money. You're in a shitty match, you'll probably make more money, but then people don't come back. So
yeah, and I've always been of the mindset of, man, like I'm going to do this for free. It's going to cost me my time, energy, and money, but I don't care. I don't need anything back. And what I get back is I have a place to shoot with people that I like to shoot with, and I like to see, like, the reward for me is seeing like positive growth and people enjoying their 2A rights. If you want to go down that path, whatever your justification is, but that I do enjoy people seeing that, learning and growing, experiencing new things, and wanting to travel and spend time with their families. And however they wherever that kind of, I hate this generic term, but journey takes them. Gas guns kind of rekindle that spirit for me. That I had, a long time ago. And yeah, man, I just want to keep rolling with it. So I put all these things online. I'm not gonna do a website or anything like that. It's just Facebook group. And I'm not saying that our rule set format, it's kind of similar to the stuff that's already been out there. It's tweaked a little bit, but I don't want a rigid rule set. I want match directors to be able to manipulate things and read the room and adjust target sizes and distances and penalties and the match format how they want to. I just give them something to start with. So that's my plan for the gas gun matches, because the matches, I've hit on this a bunch, matches are the cheapest, easiest training you'll ever get. and that's where local stuff has to be cheap, accessible, fun, makes you want to come back and make it a regular thing. And then that's where the base is. It's and then you can go and do the bigger matches and stuff when you get there. So anyway, that's where I'm at with the gas gun stuff. But gear wise, man, I'm still still going back and forth with this 1-2-23. I think I'm on my fourth barrel now, fourth different barrel. I had the factory barrel, another one that didn't shoot very well. Then I got another one that shot pretty well, but it would heat soak like crazy fast and open up like crazy. First 5-6 rounds were awesome. Round 7 through 10, not good. And then anything past that, because gas gun stages are generally, 10 to 20 rounds. We cap everything at 20 rounds for our stuff, so you don't shoot through a whole bunch of ammo.
Right.
And the stages are attainable. And then, I have so a lot of people will test a barrel 5 rounds, but what I want to see, like, yeah, 5-round group's great, but how many times can that 5-round group be repeated? And I'll give you kind of a total picture. And then a lot of people like to do 10-round strings. 10-round strings are great and all. Like, I'll do a couple of them to kind of see what's going on with dispersion and stuff, and get a true picture of it. But the thing that really makes me mad, man, is people will throw out the quote unquote flyers, but that you need to include that data. It's not a flyer. I mean, that's data. You need to put that in there because that gives you the actual picture. What can you actually hit on any single round given? So anyway, this is my fourth barrel on this damn gun, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go out and shoot tomorrow. And I bed the barrels. So you get a factory barrel. So the receivers and the barrels, they're all different tolerances. Some are tight. Some receiver manufacturers do thermal fits. And I use Loctite 620 to bed them, to take up any of that slop. Their current receiver set is kind of generous on the shank diameter, the inlet for the barrel shank, the extension, sorry. And so I bed it with the green Loctite 620, which is what it's made for. It's not Loctite thread locker like you'd think. 620 is specifically made for filling gaps and cylindrical gaps. So if you read the entire PDF on Loctite 620, it's made for that purpose. So some people have used shims and stuff to a couple thousand stick of those aluminum shims that you can buy. Looks like foil, and to take up that gap. And then because the weak link is how that barrel nut joins to the receiver. So I use Seekins uppers because they're about the stiffest that you can buy and attain. So that's the other thing. There's a couple other monolithic, semi-monolithic makes models out there, but you can't freaking buy them or you can't afford them. But the Seekins stuff is attainable, and it's generally nice quality. So I bed them, let it sit for 24 hours, then finish torquing it down and go to the range. So with that, I know that barrel is tight in that receiver. I'm not getting a bunch of deflection, and I just rule that out as a problem. So I don't know. I don't know if you've ever been down that road with gas guns, or you just buy a factory one and it shoots and hey. But I'm more of a tinkerer than factory guns. So.
Well, when I was building all my first ones when I worked at Barnes and Remington, the nice thing was I had access to all the guys at DPMS and Bushmaster, but the guys that knew what the hell they were talking about in the gas gun world. So I actually got to design my own barrel system, my own gas system, and everything on my 223 Wild that I built. It's a 26.5-inch gas gun with a specialized rifle length system. And then I put hydraulic buffers in it. I did all that. Like, I went all out and built that rifle. Now I've got a Seekins SP10, and then I've got what do they call it? The SP15, their AR one.
Yeah.
So I've got one of each of those, and I just have the builder's kit sitting here. And I don't know, we've had that conversation about what I'm going to use for barrels, and I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to build my own barrels. So I'm still right in the middle of getting the barrels in and the extensions and everything, and making sure all the fit and finish is where I want it. But I want to be able to kind of control, like in prefits in our precision rifle barrels at Straight Jacket, I want to be able to control those barrels. So it's something I'm kind of intrigued with, and seeing how hard it is. Because I mean, you've got to have the machinery to set the extension and then go and perfectly index your gas port hole and everything else so that everything's perfect. So I don't know, something we've been kind of looking at lately. But yeah, I don't know if there's necessarily the greatest barrel selection out there for gas guns. There's a few companies that build a lot of gas guns for them, and they're using like $50 blanks, and machining
Yeah,
them and turning them
and
into $200 or $300 blanks.
so like that's why I went custom barrel route. But like, so you can buy custom barrels, Krieger, Bartland, yada yada, from some gunsmiths, or like White Oak Armament has a nice selection of them. They're pricey, but you're going to get a good barrel.
Mm-hmm.
But I got this new one that I'm just going to try out right now is a standard White Oak Armament varmint one. So I have an issue with the barrels. To me, for the precision stuff, the actual precision builds, they don't make them heavy enough, and a lot of 750 gas blocks, and I don't like 750 gas blocks. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
diameter of the barrel. I think it's too small, and then it goes down to a half 28 thread. You don't need to do a half 28 thread. You can do gas gun barrels in a 5/8 24.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can. Like, there's no reason not to, especially if you're making a purpose built heavy accurate AR. You don't need to do half 28. You can have an 8750 gas block. Now, I caution anybody going bigger than 8750 because the gas blocks are generally too big to fit under a normal handguard. So you got to do some wonky stuff. Don't do that. 8750 goes out to the muzzle 5/8 24 thread. And then I do 20 inchers with rifle length gas. My SB10 is a proof barrel, and that's got I think it's a rifle plus 2, an 8750 gas block, and I think that's done right for 6.5 Creed. But the 223s, you can go heavy, and that's only going to help with rigidity and heat soak. So why not? And I personally, I hate having anything in half 28 thread muzzle thread. I hate it
I do too. I do
because
too.
it's one more thing I got to deal with. So I've got like a factory Geisley that's a pretty heavy barrel on that tank. It's a Super Duty, but it has a half 28, and it doesn't really need to have a half 28. It could have had a 5/8 24, I'm pretty sure. So I hate it. I wish everything that I had was a 5/8 24 or even a 3/4. If you want to standardize it, you can do big old fat barrels. You can do a 3/4, but the 5/8 24 I think should be the standard for everything.
Yeah, I agree. Half 28 just sucks to machine and everything else. And then you've got to think of the material, especially if you're running magnums or 260, 6.5s, some of that bigger stuff. You're leaving just barely enough metal. And that is one of the most important parts of your barrel, the very end. So when that starts to heat up or that starts to move or it bell mouse, then you don't have, uh, a good release on your crown. So I would definitely, I try to talk people out of half 28, even like 204s and stuff. I'm like, just go 5/8 24. As long as your barrel's big enough to have a shoulder for it, go
Yeah,
5/8 24. Just run it.
I had
Everything's
a
standard.
I had a Grendel barrel, 18-inch Grendel barrel. That was a what was that? Who was the guy that invented the Grendel 6.5 Grendel? It was Bill Wilson. Was no? What was his name? He has a gun company. They did 50 Beowulf stuff and then Grendel. Okay, I'm blanking on it.
Oh,
Anyway,
out of
um,
Texas. Yeah.
so anyway, great guy, sent me a barrel. He rattled me off for like 4 to 6 hours on the phone one day. My head was hurting so bad. Filled me with so much Grendel knowledge that I never knew I needed. But awesome dude. His name was Bill. But that barrel that I got was a 9/16 by 28, I believe. And I had the hardest time finding any muzzle devices in 9/16, whatever it was. And I just looked at the thing. I was like, why wouldn't it just be 5/8? Just make it 5/8. There was no point to doing a 9/16. None.
Mm.
And you just never see that anymore. And then you get to foreign stuff that's what, 14? M14 1.5, the metric.
Yeah, the metric shit. We don't touch none of
Frustrating.
that. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Anyway, so with that, and then also one other requirement I have: gas blocks, the gas journal. All my gas journals I like to be 100 thou, all of them. I don't like the smaller. I want to be able to use the adjustable gas block like it's intended to. And if the gas port is too small to begin with, your gas block is literally doing nothing. You can run a
Bill
wet.
Alexander,
That's it.
Alexander Arms. Yep.
Alexander Arms, not Wilson. Alexander
Yep.
Arms. Bill Alexander.
Yep.
Great guy. Very British.
Mm.
Crazy smart. So 100,000th gas block and adjustable gas, or 100 thou gas journal, and with adjustable gas block, and then any can or muzzle device I throw on, I can just tune it with the gas block and it's going to work. Now, I've been down the road with the smaller gas journals, and it makes for a pain in the ass to where you can't tune to whatever you're using. And especially if you like to use a muzzle device that's a brake built in with a can, that goes on over, and you take it on and off. Like, you need to be able to have the adjustability. The rifle speed adjusters, I don't know if you've seen those, the gas blocks, crazy cool, easy click. They have them in different lengths that go outside of the handguard, and it's just, you can adjust it on the fly. It's like a big knob basically that goes around the barrel, and like a shroud. Man, crazy cool. Expensive, but cool setup. But for the gas gun stuff, I definitely have been into using adjustable gas box, and then I shoot all my gas gun stuff with cans. That's just one of the things I like to do. 5.56 stuff is notoriously hard to suppress. It's loud because of the port pop, but I do enjoy having a can on there, and as long as it's a clean running can, and I have fun. So I've been using the Huxwork stuff. I have one of the Sound Central Spanish Speed Ks, little short fat guy on the way that's got some flow through tech to it. So I'm going to enjoy using that. I think it's about 4-inch can. It doesn't add much length to the rifle at all. Not much weight either. I mean, it's, comparable to some other 5.56 cans, a little heavier duty. So it should resist heat quite a bit. I went with the heavier one, the steel one. But every gas gun that I have, I tune it for a can, and it has a particular can that it's going to use, and away we go. But I won't use a gas gun that I can't get to shoot under a minute. That's my cutoff. It has to be under a minute. I won't mess with
factory or hand loads.
Both. Like, if you can't take like Federal Gold Medal Match, the 77 grain stuff, and get that load, that standard load of the Black Hills 77 grain load, and get the rifle to shoot under an inch, like, there's something up.
Yeah. I agree. Mine. Have you run a hydraulic buffer system? Have you ever ran one of those?
I did a long time ago in 3-gun, and it stopped working, so I haven't touched them since.
Well, in 3-gun, I could see that where they're running so much, but like in precision gas gun, like, I really like mine. My recoil's gone. Like, it doesn't have that weird ping that some of the systems have with the standard spring and buffers. And it's just badass. The way it recoils is differently. It's almost a little too soft on the recoil, but I need to change out to a better adjustable gas block system to give it a little bit more hard kickback. And that's one of the hard things is with the bolt gun, you screw your barrel on and you go. With a gas gun, you've really got to tune it. You got to figure out, is your bolt opening fast enough? Is it not opening? Are you grabbing the next round consistently? Is it jamming down? Like, there's so many things to come into the gas gun. And I think that's why it's had such a bad name, because people don't know how to necessarily tune their gas guns to whatever they're trying to do. Because once you tune them and they're running good and you like the ammo you're running, just roll. You just got to keep them a little bit cleaner, especially if you're going to suppress them. But that's why I think everybody's running like a direct impingement system now, or something that is not giving you all that gas back there. Silencer Co. released their new charging handle. It's supposed to release a lot of the gas blow by and everything else, so you're not getting in your face. But
So
coming up with more reliability.
Yeah, so I have one of those, and what it does is it kind of stops that gas from bleeding back, but also kind of redirects it. And then I've got the Griffin Snatch one too that has a port, so it'll blow it out the side too if you end up getting some gassiness back there. But my primary concern with putting a can on an AR is tuning that gas correctly for the can, so you negate a lot of that. So if it's tuned properly, you don't get a lot of that gas back. You're still going to get some, especially with the type of can. So like my Omega 300 that's a super gassy can. It's quiet. It's mediocre light. It's a harder use can. Sounds good, but it's gassy compared to like the Hux. The Hux you can throw on and you don't have to change the gas setting from a muzzle brake. Like, it's the same thing. There's no back pressure to it. So, and then the KGM super low as well. It flows really well. Some of the other stuff, and the new Velos, I got one of those on the way too. That's supposed to be pretty low back pressure and sound good. So
who makes that one?
That's Silencer Co. Yeah, it's heavy. It's a heavy use can. No barrel restrictions, full auto, yada yada yada. It's got a 3D printed core and then stainless steel ends basically. So they weld it together. It's 3 pieces basically. And I've got one of those on the way. I like Silencer Co stuff a lot. I know I'm going to enjoy that Speed K from Silent Central when it gets here, which should be maybe a week or 2. I don't know. I'll post about it. Haven't seen much on that can, so I'm excited to get it. But for competition So for the precision gas gun matches, I don't care much about sound and sound suppression. That's going to sound weird to say, but I care more about putting a little bit more weight on the front end of that rifle, and also the concussion, so the concussive blast. I'm probably going to shoot most of everything this year suppressed, even with bolt gun stuff. I got one of those new Thunder Beast RR cans in the way. I've got that KGM, so stuff that does really good for recoil on a can. It's not as good as a brake, but comparative to other cans, it cuts the recoil down. So that's what I'm after. That concussive blast, I'm cutting it down. I wear ear pro anyway during the gas gun matches. The port pop's still quite loud, over 135 decibels, I believe is what most port pop registers, and your ear's right there. You're not getting that
Mhm.
hearing back once it's gone. You know that.
Mhm. Yep.
So um, I just, that concussive blast, cut that down, no muzzle brakes. The recoil on 223 isn't bad, really. And if the
Yeah.
gas is tuned properly, the buffer and the bolt is not slamming to the rear. So a lot of the, like, remember back in your day shooting M4s?
Quiet now.
So the just think, I'm not saying the M4 is and the M16 is very old, but we're
Yeah.
getting up there too, buddy. Uh,
Yeah. I
uh,
know.
so M4s, light, 7 pounds, right? But over gassed all hell. So that thing actually was violent with recoil because it's just straight gas. It's over gas, so it'll always run. And that buffer is slamming to the back, like running start as fast as it can, right to the back to your shoulder. So you
Oh yeah.
shoot because they're over gas. It feels like the recoil in quad. Like, what the hell am I shooting? It's just a little 5.56, right? It's a super high pressure round, either 855 or 855A1, stupidly overpressured for what it is. And then the gas system's wide open, so that reciprocating mass is just running into your shoulder. But if you tune it, if it was tuned correctly, it's gonna go back and rebound and not bottom out. That spring is slowing it down and returning it into battery, and it's going to complete the cycle of function. So if you have a properly tuned gun with a can, your recoil impulse should feel about the damn same as a brake. You're adding weight, which
Yeah.
that mass counteracts the recoil, and then also the properly tuned system is going to return that. So you got it tuned properly, it's going to shoot really nice and really soft. So um, that's where I'm at with the can stuff on the gas guns right now, and I will not shoot a gas gun with a brake anymore.
Right. Gas guns are all right like that, but people also need to understand it's got to have a little bit of a beating to it, or it's not going to be. There's been so many times people try to turn it down so low that the mass of the bolt carrier group doesn't come back far enough to every time pick up the next round. You know, it's being repeatable and it's having the ability to do that. And going back to your point of those ran like a raped ape, but they had to run like a raped ape because they'd get dirty, they'd get filthy. They had to run all the way back and pick
Yeah.
up the next round, or else you're in a firefight or anything else, and that's the last thing you want's that friggin' thing. But you've got to understand, like, we're talking precision gas gun stuff here. Now, if
Right.
this is something you're going to put in your house and defend your family with, that's a different conversation that we need to be having. So
Run it
if
wide
you're
open.
listening, don't take this as this is how you need to run your everyday use type stuff. We're talking precision gas gun type stuff. So I just wanted to clarify that because I can
Oh,
see somebody
100%.
going to try to turn her shit down. All of my home defense are suppressed with lights and everything else because if an intruder comes in your house and they hear the BCG close, they're automatically knowing exactly what the hell's going on. It's almost like a little precursor, pre-warning to what's coming down the hallway. And
I'm not so sure they get that courtesy in my house.
shotgun or AR. You hear that, you're like, oh shit, somebody racks a shotgun, you know exactly what that sound is. Like, yep, have a nice day. Wrong house, my bad. But this is precision gas gun stuff. I want to be able to stay on target. I want to see my miss. I don't want all the gas in my eyeballs because if you've shot enough gas gun shit,
Yep.
you know what we're talking about. Your eyes are burning after, you shoot a few, like an hour worth of this stuff, your eyes are burning. And, trying to mitigate that and get the gas away from your face and consistency and all the parts to the puzzle you've got to put together. And it's always kind of intrigued me. It is hard because you can't just send one of these to everybody and have them do the same thing. And I think, to me, most people should probably have somebody that knows what they're doing tune their system for them. or really learn how to do it so that it does run the way it's supposed to run. And once it does, I think it'd change a lot of people's mind. I do. I think it would.
Yeah, I'm by no means the expert or authority with gas gun stuff. I just know that what I've been through over the years and figuring out what doesn't work and why it doesn't work. And then so the number one thing to gas gun matches, the running gun stuff or the precision stuff, you have to have one that works. Because if it doesn't work, you're not competing. So that's my number one priority. Make that thing work, make it shoot real well, and clean it after every match. Every match.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
take a dirty gun to anything ever. Ever. It's clean. I don't care what anybody's opinion is about cleaning. I have my methods, my opinion. That's what I stick by. And I know that I need things to work when I pull the trigger. So it's going
Hmm.
to be clean. I'm going to give myself the best chance to win by having something that works. So barrels, especially if you're in a can, you get all that extra filth and stuff out of the trigger group and out of the barrel extension, in your bolts and stuff. And I replace bolts regularly. I run high quality stuff, either JP bolts or that CMC. I've been using the CMC full carrier system, and that's actually super nice. And it's not even that much
Hmm.
money. That one's
Hmm.
super nice. The fit and finish of that one is awesome, on par with the JP stuff. So, hats off to CMC for making a cool product. I bought one just to try. There was a coupon code I think Brownells had, and I picked one up, and yeah, it's been awesome so far. And it's made to run suppress, so it's got 3 vent holes on it, and it's pretty neat. Well thought out piece of gear there. Um, Triggers, man. I know you've been a Timney guy.
Well, I worked for him for a couple of years. Yeah. So,
So I've had a mountain of Timneys. I haven't ever had a problem with them,
hmm,
but I got to tell you, the one thing I have not liked, and I don't like the adjustable shoe ones. To me, that's too much to go wrong.
Calvin's, the
Yeah,
Calvin Elites. Yeah.
but the ones that I've had, man, the trigger pulls were just way too heavy in gas guns. Not for this application. So I've been using the Trigger Tech Diamonds, and
Hmm.
I've actually been really liking them. But I will tell you that the trigger pull weight and feel changes from round 1 to round 120. They have to be clean. So keep that in mind, because the dirtier they get, it just they don't like self clean, and they're coated. Can't lubricate them. So it's one of those things where it'll kind of get sticky and it'll get a little bit harder to pull. And you may never notice it. I notice it, but I spend a lot of time on rifles. So I that's one side effect that I have to super light triggers. I have an Elf too that I've been running for a long time. That one's been okay. That was like 2.5 pounds. That one's man, that's a different feeling trigger too. Feels pretty good.
There's a new one that came out at SHOT Show that I messed with that's super light and it was crisp. And of course if you fill a prototype, you're just not sure how the actual thing in a production
Production ones,
setting
yeah.
is going to be. But it felt awesome. I wish I could remember which one it was.
So
But it
so you,
felt really good.
you have to be careful though about getting one that's too light or too short of a reset, because what happens?
You
Pop
want to
up,
go full auto?
pop up, pop up, pop 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 up, and then
Yep.
you've got this situation on your hands, and that's how you get DQ'd from a match. So mine are right about the 2 to 2.25 range, which is over a pound, pound and a half heavier than I run my bolt gun stuff. But gas gun stuff, you're a little bit more heavy handed on the pull and everything, so it's okay. But I just got to know that it's got to be a positive, engagement and re-engagement. So if it gets below that, I kind of worry about bump firing it in different positions and stuff. So there's a give and take to that.
Right. Yeah. Putting everything together and having the correct stuff, weight on BCGs is huge. Buffer springs is huge. Buffers are huge. There's just so many variables that go into a precision gas gun. And I think maybe what we need to do one of these days, I've had a couple big name companies reach out and say, hey, we want you to build something. So maybe what we need to do is just kind of work with one of those and build something out how we would do it, test it, and show people maybe how to tune that. So if people would like to hear that and watch that and see that, let us know, because that would be something we could definitely work on. And then I still want to build some custom barrels and see how we can make them more accurate. The problem is you can't control everything. You can't control um, your, you can't control from receiver to extension to barrel. There's so many tolerance stacks when it comes to that stuff.
So the extensions, when you're talking about barrel making, the extension to me is the wild card
Mm-hmm.
because of how the head spacing works and the locking and locking of the actual AR bolt. So you'd almost have to head space off of a high quality bolt when you make those, and now you're increasing cost. To me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a barrel maker, but that seems like a huge pain in the ass. And then you can't make it so tight that the damn thing's not going to work too.
Right.
So I don't
You
know,
just
man.
got to use higher quality hand lapped, precision cut stuff. And I think that's kind of what we want to try. And then figuring out how to make sure everything's perfectly lined up, your gas system's perfect. And that's another thing that I do with a lot of my gas systems is I go in and just clean them up really good because it seems like there's burrs on the inside of a lot of them and the way they take care of them. So I always take a really sharp bit and clean those up to make sure I'm getting the most gas out of mine too. It's just one of the little things that I've always done. A lot of times, like if you clean your barrel before, you'll feel sharp edges on your gas port, and you definitely don't want to fill that. I mean, after 100 rounds, it should be gone, but you also could be dumping a lot of copper right there while you're doing it because it tears jackets if it's not smooth.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. A lot of people, drilling it. I don't think a lot of companies drill that and then relap it after to make sure everything's 100% smooth. And that's something we want to kind of mess with and see if that's what it is or not. But so where did they find information about this little series you put together again? You put it. It's got a Facebook group.
Yeah, it's called Western Gas Gun Coalition. And like I said, it's open for anybody. It's the course fires there for match directors to use or for people to train on or to hey, what am I getting myself into if I go to one of these things? All the rule sets are there, the divisions and everything. So you can expect like, hey, what kind of gear, where would my rifle fall in on any of this stuff? Um,
Dude, that is nuts. We were just talking about it, and it's the first thing that pops up on my freaking Facebook.
you're welcome.
Holy shit! Big tech is after us.
There you go. But yeah, man,
Scares me.
it's I'm in no way trying to take market share from anybody else. I just want to give people an avenue. I think some of these leagues pop up and they're not the most inviting or helpful when it comes to helping the match directors out. Like a lot of it is just like, hey, you figure it out, and here's our rule set that you're gonna have 1,000 questions about, and there's gonna be a lot of gray area that we're not gonna help you with. I give you stuff and you tweak it and run it how you're going to run it. There's no series points or championship or anything like that. It's just a resource. That's it. I want more of these to pop up around the States. And then, hey, if you end up doing some other series or point system or whatever, hey, man, more power to you. I don't care. I got you in the door. I'm going to help you out where I can. You learn and grow as you need to. Have
Mm.
fun. So,
So where are these matches that have taken place right now? Like, if
so
they're where do you get to shoot them?
So under this format / rules, so Phoenix has been running theirs for years. They're not under this umbrella by any means, but their rule set is pretty similar. And I'm gonna hit on the Western states, and then Vegas, Reno, Sacramento, Avenal down there, kind of mid California, Central Valley, and then there's a Casa range up in Oregon is going to start doing them too. So we've got some, and I know there's other people that would probably hop on too. I've been talking to people in other states, Midwest and back east too, about starting theirs and like asking me questions because they see me post stuff like, hey, what do I do? What's the format like? How do I make this? How is it different from PRS stuff? Like, is it more accessible? Like, yeah, that's what it's meant to be because the AR-15 is the most common rifle in America. So, hey, let's make something fun that bridges the gap between the run and gun and using a rifle like a pistol and actually using that as a carbine and a rifle to engage things at distance with a little heavier bullet. And hey, it's not going to beat your bank account up. The rifle that you have, like the whole point of these gas gun matches is like, hey, you got a 14.5 or 16-inch barrel with a 1-4, 1-6, 1-8 scope. Yeah, there's a division for you, like a patrol division. We call it TAC Light. Bam, off the shelf. You can go buy your cheap 1-6 scope or whatever, some 77 grain ammo, 75 grain ammo, a bipod, cheap bag. Away you go. Go shoot it. As long as that rifle can hit a 2 MOA target, you're good. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll learn about ballistics and shooting positions and all that. And it's meant to be fast and fun. We run 8 stages and we're done by noon. 90-second par times, and we cap the max rounds, so it's normally like 8 to 10 hits per stage because everything's hit to move on, and 20 round max, so I'm not blowing your bank account out. So 8 stages, 20 rounds max. Do the math, 160 rounds maximum that you'll need. Most shooters can afford that. So in a weekend, and hey man, like we go shoot and we have fun, talk some shit, and then go home.
Is it 10 and 15 or just 15?
Yeah, you can use the large frame. That's open. So tack light, tack heavy. So tack light is only 223,
Okay.
and up to 1.1 to 8 powered scope. And then tack heavy is up to a 20-inch barrel, 18 power optic, 223 or 308. And then open is anything else.
I got you. Okay.
So it's made to be real user friendly, right? And I get tons of questions like, "Why are 1 to 10s, allowed in tack light?" Well, the tack light division, as we see it, is supposed to be out of a patrol car, right? Most departments are issued 1 to 4s, 1 to 6, or not issued, allowed 1 to 4s, 1 to 6s, 1 to 8s. The 1 to 10s, I mean, there's a couple. I think Vortex has a 1 to 10. I'm not sure who else has a 1 to 10. Those are not as common. But if you're comparing a 1 to 10, because you're not going to shoot anything on 1 power. It's a long range match. You're going to shoot on max. So a 6 power scope compared to a 10 power scope. Significant advantage over that guy that just wants to go out and shoot and be competitive with a bunch of like duty rifles shooting heavier bullets, right? So like that's the point. So if you want to shoot something higher magnification, just jump in tack heavy. It's fine. And then the same arguments, whoa, 10 power compared to an 8 power. I got it. Cool, man. But I'm not telling you to use that 10 power. You're trying to use that 10 power. Use what you got, shoot, have fun, buy a bigger scope if you want to. So you can't make everybody happy, but match directors can read the room, change it to however they want, and run the fun match that their audience is going to enjoy. So have fun.
Interesting. Well, good to know. I mean, that what in your opinion like killed the PRS gas gun stuff? Because it went strong for like what, a year and a half.
I'm not even going to say it's strong,
but it was pretty much the only thing gas gun that was out there that I knew of. You know, Ash and those guys started Quantified, which they've been pushing that. And we've had him on the podcast before. But like, why did gas gun tank like as bad as it did?
I think the general public doesn't see gas guns as precision tools, and I'm never going to put out like a 1.5 1 MOA target. That's not the role, right? You're talking like full size zip 6 at like 500-600 yards, and we're only shooting to 650 most matches. A lot of times only 550. So it's from 200 to 550. So we have a typical at Vegas. We have a typical varmint range, which is the 220, 330, 425, 550 berms, right? Those are all around the country. So it's perfect square range setup for a gas gun match because you can do stuff with the positions and the targets, and you're not shooting very far. So 223 is more than doable. Reactive targets like spinners and paddle racks and yada yada, stuff on fire hose. So fun stuff. And the other good thing about the gas gun stuff is you can do the old school like kind of novelty stuff and gas gun, and no one gets pissed off about it. Not like the bolt gun stuff. You can't do that shit anymore. So you can do stuff like that and have fun because you get extra rounds, you get makeup shots, and it's fast and fun. Bring whatever the hell gas gun you have and shoot it. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well,
but to go back to your question though, why does it die? I just don't think it took off very well to begin with. I just don't think it was done well and done with much purpose from the start. I think it was kind of like, yeah, we should kind of look at this because the Army uses semi-automatic sniper platform, and yeah, they can be accurate. And I think that's kind of where some of the want came from, the push. But I think it's going to grow a little bit more. It's going to be more accessible as these ARs get better quality. Ammunition's gotten better. Like there's more of a shooter base and the knowledge now from the bolt gun world that's going to bleed kind of back to it and help build it. So I think it's going to do better. Three Gun Nations tried to start a precision realm of it too, but they didn't know how to do it. And Chad absolutely killed Three Gun Nation. So that was way back when. So
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully it takes off, because I definitely think there needs to be more avenues for more people. Not everybody wants to shoot precision rifle, which is fine. So this gives other people chances to do it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
trying, man. I just want people to go out and shoot.
Yeah. Well, that's why there's the podcast. Is why everything else, just getting people shooting and enjoying and having a good time before our kids get all their shit taken away. Because that's kind of how it's going on with us. These
Yeah.
mean black guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Super.
all right. Well, thanks, buddy. I think we need to have some more like live podcasts talking about some of this, answering questions, but we'll have to schedule some of those. And if you guys would like that, make sure you DM us, PM us, send us a message. Let us know that you're interested, and we'll schedule it. If we have more people reaching out for things, we'll do it. If we know people want to hear stuff, so
For
just
sure.
let us know. Okay, everybody. Hope you have a great time, and keep, like I say, keep subscribing. Subscribe, Apple Podcast, iTunes, wherever you listen. Subscribe so you know when the next ones come out, because we're going to start releasing them faster. So, all right, thanks, everybody. Have a good one.